have one smart contract that is powering the listing of campaigns, which we stay behind. This is on the main end.
I'm sorry, can you talk a little louder?
Okay, sure. And basically, it's very simple that where you just have the list of campaigns. Then when you click on one campaign, you can donate. You have a list of all approved milestones and their status. And yeah. And also some information about Vault, so how much was paid and when. And Jason added a campaign deployer, so this automatically creates this campaign. Or like you can create easily a campaign. And if you have also, if you are the person who has an ownership of this listing contract, it will directly appear there. So this is where we are right now. What I tried to do was, because I couldn't see how this is going to work.
Yeah.
So with Grace, we were discussing of how can we try, how can I do this? How can we try and build this? How can we prototype it? How can we find out what we actually want to do? So I took a liberty of trying to create a simple prototype in the prototyping tool. And we boiled it down to 2 use cases. Mm-hmm. You are the person who wants to get funding for your cause, for whatever you're doing, or you are a person who wants to donate. Those are the 2 roles we focused on. Sadly, it's not fully finished, but it's like you can see how it could work. So the first page would be a description, like either you are the person who wants to donate, or you are the person who wants to be supported. And what do you need to do, basically? So I'm a person who wants to donate. So I can go to causes, hopefully. If it doesn't lag. Wow.
Oh, we are live streaming.
I know. Yeah. But this should be local. Okay, let me run it locally. So I have this.
Ooh, look at that. Foreshadowing. I'm so excited about the portfolio.
Yes.
Portfolio.
So this should run locally. It should be a little bit faster.
Oh.
So I kept the causes thing, but basically here you have the list of all the, we call it causes now, I guess it's more like projects, I would say.
Yeah, these are campaigns.
These are campaigns. And you have tags for them. So you can search by tag, or you can search by, and the tag is basically a category, or you can search by name. And then when you enter the actual, can I zoom here? This should be better. So then when you enter the actual campaign, you have basically the same information we have right now. But here you have your milestones are different. So there are like milestones are in different stage, which is not apparent in the current thing. So there are proposed milestones, a milestone that someone proposed, or we can propose new milestone maybe. There are milestones in progress. So someone approved those milestones and said, okay, we want to do this. There are milestones that has been marked as done. So someone finished the milestone and wants to get paid. And the reviewer has to say, yeah, it has been finished, or no, it hasn't. And then completed, where you either still can get paid or you were already paid and canceled. So this is very similar to Trello,
yeah,
which was an inspiration a little bit. But anyway, when you create a new milestone, it should work. Or if you approve an already existing milestone, which was suggested, takes money out of the vault here, and it basically allocates the money directly to the milestone itself, so it's locked. Then someone finishes, it goes there. You reject, it goes back. Basically, there's a very simple flow and status of milestones. So that's the donating part, where you can either donate directly to the campaign, or you can donate directly to one milestone.
Nice.
And then you also have the you part, which is relevant to you, and it shows all the things you can do and all the things you have done. So this is a portfolio. So I've donated this much to health, to environment, to all those different categories, and it should be hierarchical. So when I click on this, I should see more. Back then we were also talking about getting a mini-me token as a reward.
Absolutely.
Which I'm not sure is still the case.
It's definitely still the case.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
So like, it's not so much a reward because the mini-me token doesn't have any value, but it gives you some sort of reputation, or even potentially a governance decisions capability in the causes and campaigns that you went through to donate.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
like,
build certain reputation within that sort
yeah,
of category.
so the exact details of how that works is going to be interesting, because I'm not sure, for instance, if you're building an orphanage in Berlin, maybe you'll get a Germany token, you'll get a children token, you'll get a this token, that token, like any you know, cause that says, yeah, I like this project, or some money ever went from this cause to that project, they can automatically just say, well, whoever else donated to this, you know, they're supporting our cause, so we want them in our community. Let's give them, you know, power, because they.
So this is like maybe making a comparison with like the tags,
Yeah.
kind of like the tokens that you will get.
Yeah,
Kind of
and
like this LinkedIn when you have the skills.
yeah, and what this
And
allows
then
is if someone donated to the, you know, if someone, if the children charity, the global children charity says, hey, we're going to hold a vote and we want to ask every donor, you know, which, you know, should we focus on
Right.
this Syrian campaign or this, you know, Berlin campaign? And they can pull everyone who ever donated that they feel, you know, does this, and they can get a decision. So this is part of the idea.
That's something we should discuss, because who knows how it will work now that we have delegates as well.
Yeah.
It might clash. It's like the overview of donations. Then there's causes and actions, which highlights all the causes or campaigns in which you are involved at any role. So I'm a reviewer for Giveth, and I have 8 notifications, so 8 actions I can take. Or there are 8 new milestones. Basically, this should be a shortcut. And then there's a history of transaction and history of everything that basically happened in my account. So that was the whole idea. I didn't follow on it, because then we started to redesign it again and stuff. So what I would maybe like to do is I've tried some diagramming what we were discussing about. So basically we have, I would see it as 4 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have the top one, which now we call causes. In real world, I think they are charities and categories. That's what it stands in the real world. And it's some DCO. We can also call it an umbrella.
Ooh.
And basically, here are the delegates. So you can see my mouse. Yeah. So someone donates to poor countries, and the delegate says, "Oh yeah, I will move your money to children, or to Zimbabwe, or wherever, or education in general."
Yeah.
Even though it seems to be unrelated. I've just put in some of the arrows, but like I guess it's really unlimited.
Yeah.
Then we have a second row, which is campaigns. And in real world, I see it again as charities and as projects. So we have this school in Zimbabwe, an orphanage in Harare.
Okay.
And they can already have milestones. They can fund a project. And again, the cause can directly actually link the money to the project. It doesn't have to go through the campaign.
Yeah.
So these are a mixture. I would say, as I understand it, the campaign is a mixture between cause and project. So it has the capabilities of both in one. But the money are not allocated.
Yeah, I mean, this is flexible, and I'll have to talk with Jordy about it, but basically, right now, that line from education to monthly electric bills,
yeah,
that's not possible. Or we could limit it if we wanted to, right? So, and maybe we eliminate the idea of campaigns altogether, and it's just campaigns can have projects or not. Or, sorry, causes can have projects or not. But the way it's defined so far.
Well, I think this should be the outcome of the weekend.
Exactly.
I just a thing about projects. I talk about projects, okay, and put in this bag a lot of things that can be projects, okay. But projects and delegates think that you can tag them. Okay, the delegates can be these delegates, for example, for animals, and maybe there is a lot of delegates that are tagged animals, and then you can this hierarchy that you can have. You can see this hierarchy based on this tag. Okay, and also delegates project have could have maybe a set of tags, and then you can it's a way to see the things. You know, it's like a ghost, maybe it's a tag. Okay, it's like this project becomes to be tag, this project, and you can have like a hierarchy of tags or whatever. And it can be even off-chain that. Okay, it's like a way of classifying the donations, or a way of analyzing the donations. Okay, but that makes sense from the user interface. These concepts make a lot of sense from the user interface. But from the final piece, now from the balloon, it just I don't put the tag in the balloon.
Yeah, no, it could be off. It could be off the chain.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that that's not necessary. Okay, it's like this, and this we need to define exactly what information you want to do. You want to give, for example, information for animals or for different tags. Animals in Barcelona.
I mean, the nice thing is that your smart contract system is very flexible, and we can do a lot of control from the UI.
Yeah, but from the smart contract, it's just you own the money or you don't own the money.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the delegate and we call now delegate and we call a project. We can change the name, okay? But you are a project, so you, in some way, you own the money, condition it with some reviewer at some point, but you own the money, or you are a delegate. You don't own the money, okay? Your final, whatever decision you make, it will be necessary for the donors to be accepted. It can be accepted by just doing nothing, okay? But needs this kind of approval from the owner in some sense, and the project doesn't need this approval. Okay, that's different between in the smart contract level, okay?
Okay.
But you know, smart contract level are just the final piece, okay? Maybe you need these tags or these classification systems of adding these hierarchical values.
Yeah. Okay. So then the projects at the bottom level can have milestones as well as the campaigns. So these can directly pay to a person or to an entity for the work they do. Whereas here at the top level, you don't have that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's the important distinction. how I understand it based on what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would like to take this down. During this weekend, I would like to finalize this, if we agree on that. And I would like to finalize the roles.
Yes.
Yes.
So, we already have a donor, a registered donor, and delegate.
Mm-hmm.
A donor can only donate and register.
Yep.
The registered donor can, however, change delegate, accept money
A
transfer.
donor can change delegate.
But how do you contact him if he's not registered?
He can contact them, but they can't contact him.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't have to contact them. He can just change it, because he has his address. His address is still recorded.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. And then you have a delegate, which is a special case of a registered donor, who can basically manipulate with money of other people,
Mm-hmm.
as well as their own money, technically.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, this is nice, dude.
And then you have the projects. So in between is the campaign, which has both words, right? Sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So in the project, you can directly donate, and you have a milestone manager who create the milestones, sets all these fields, and then proposes the milestone. Or who can cancel a milestone, potentially. I don't know, I'm not
Mhm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
And mark milestone as complete. So this is the person who's responsible for one milestone. Then you have, I guess, a reviewer who, once the milestone is marked as complete, can approve the milestone as being complete or check the completion of the milestone. And the last one is a spender who, once it's done, can just say, oh, I want to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
You also have time, because you don't directly get the money, right? But there's some time delay. So only after a certain time the money gets released. That's a time. And also, no, sorry, this is just wrong. Okay. Campaign owner is the one who creates the project. I guess it's a project owner.
Yeah.
And who can accept the proposed milestones or reject them.
Mm-hmm.
Escape hatch, we have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Escape hatch, just forget, say, from the functional point of view, it's a very technical thing. It's just a security, security functionality. So
Sure.
And
But should
technically,
it have UI?
no.
no.
The escape hatch guy, if he doesn't know how to use get command line, he shouldn't be holding the escape hatch. Okay. He needs to be using. This is a very technical security role, and you need to be using. You need to be running your own node.
From the user interface point of view, from the functionality point of view, just forget about the escape
So,
hatch.
Yeah.
for people who just want to build an orphanage and don't know anything about Ether, and they just know sort of, yeah, I can get my Ether, I can transfer it to whatever exchange server I use for real currency.
Yeah.
When they want to create campaign, what do they fill into escape hatch?
Well, this is the thing. So when we're moving money around, we're not moving money around. The money stays in the vault. It never moves.
It's very clear.
What is moved around is the permissions. So there is no escape hatch for the permissions to move.
We changed it. The thing is that
It's
okay,
changed.
so Vojtech is
Okay.
in the Vojtech is go. This week we changed the page,
Yeah.
and Vojtech is you are in the last page. So
Okay.
Yeah, because this was required before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But anyway, the thing is that it's going to be global.
It's erased.
Simplified.
Sorry.
It's
better.
erased. It's not there.
Goodbye,
It's good.
escape hatch.
But
Who needs
escape
those
hatch,
things anyway?
Global is going to be just one volt. for a system. Well, the thing is, we have many systems of that, but it's only one vault for the system, and this vault is cascaded.
We will debate the one vault policy for sure.
Okay, but it's a security discussion, okay? But in the case that it's only one vault for the full system, it's going to be only one escape hatch, and this is defined with it once the system is created. Okay, so.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, but just.
No UI.
Okay. So, I guess this is, I'm just introducing it, but this is something we need to tackle this weekend.
Yeah.
Because once we know the roles and what are their capabilities, what they can do, we can start building the system.
Can that be on our bucket?
Yeah.
I've also, ages ago, I've done the status of the milestone, and I'm not sure if it changed.
No, stuff
I don't think it did. So, you start with a new milestone, which has at minimum name, description, when it starts, ends. Reviewer, the review period, who's receiving the money. Okay, who's receiving the money, and yeah, the amount, basically. So whoever has a permission to create new milestone creates this milestone and proposes it. Now, it's in proposed stage, so it can either be rejected, at which point it's completely discarded, it's not even locked anywhere, or you can approve it when it goes into in progress. At this stage it can be cancelled, but the only other option is to mark it as complete. So I've already completed this milestone and it's completed. But now it's up to the reviewer to say, oh yeah, I agree with it, it's completed, or no, I don't agree, in which case it goes back to the in progress. Once it's completed and approved as completed, it can't be cancelled anymore, and the money is fully allocated to the milestone. You can't do anything. And the only thing, after a certain delay, there can be a release of funds, and you can get paid and collect the money. That's how I understand it.
Yep.
And I have a list of the actors who can interact with it. And
Look
this
at
is,
that. Impressive.
so I'm not going to go through this, but
Yeah.
I think I need to post it somewhere. Do we have some shared Dropbox, shared
Just throw it on the Slack. Oh yeah, well we have our Google Drive.
Yes, the Google Drive.
all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, I almost, is it public? No, I guess it's not all the way public.
The link will, it's
Yeah, I
public,
mean,
it's not. It's
we
not
just share
private.
the link out
Just share the
everywhere.
link and it's.
I mean, we're open source, you know.
Only thing, if you how to do the things if you don't have the money to do that. So money is released, yeah, before it's after it's checked
Yeah.
by the reviewer. You need the money to do that.
Yeah.
So how to solve
You can use Bancor.
this?
Or salt.
So
Or-
I think like it makes sense to have some kind of money that is used only for temporarily allocate.
Well, I
Right.
think the idea was one milestone could be start project, and if you've done everything you need for start project, maybe you get some initial funds, right? And that's the money you use to get the
Yeah.
other projects, right? But then the idea that Griff was saying about letting this start off in the first place with charities that are already started, and as a reward for milestones of completing the goals they already have, kind of as like the test for this, you know,
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense too.
So there's some kind of rewards to.
So yeah, the first time they wouldn't complain about like, hey, I need money to start before I can do my first project. It's like, oh, sorry, we're only giving this to people that have already started something, and we're incentivizing milestones they already had.
Yeah.
And then, but later on, maybe it would be like, yeah, that first project would be, you get, $40,000 if you can write very cleanly exactly what you're going to do with that money. That's completed. I reviewed it. $40,000 is yours. But you don't get that $50,000 because you didn't do the second project that you outlined in the first.
So, from a user experience, this is also a very stressful I think Griff knows, writing the milestones as clearly as
Oh, yeah,
possible,
that's
especially when it's not, you don't have the money.
Yeah.
So I think this is something we need to make as simple as possible, because this is the stressful part.
Mm-hmm.
The definition of the milestones.
Yeah.
Because right now we have, for example, Griff has a monthly milestone for his time,
Mm-hmm.
plus all the expenses separate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a look at a real campaign, what if everyone just says, oh yeah, I agree with all your expenses, but like, you know, it's your time. So we should also provide some guidance how to write those milestones, and maybe this should be a milestone expenses plus my time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it probably needs to be linked or something.
Yeah.
And
No, maybe make some examples about. There's an example of a full project
Yes.
that what happens and approvals,
Yeah.
so people just learn how to use the system by examples.
yeah.
So I think it's a good
And
way to
autofill as much as we can, you know.
Exactly.
If there can be like expenses and they click add expense and then
Yeah.
half the stuff is filled out for them or not even on the screen, you know, and they just have to put in for this much
Yeah.
proof, you know, and done, right? And it takes their address, it takes, yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of work on the UI, man, that is like, actually Oz and I were talking the other day and it's like, if there's one thing that we need to focus on, what is it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the UI, the UI is
But
everything.
honestly, and I also think that the UI
But the logic
will
behind it.
determine a lot of the adoption and success
Of
in the
course.
adoption of this project,
Of
right?
course.
So
Yeah,
that's
I agree with what you're saying about the logic too. It's like we could start off with the first iteration of the UI, and we have a really simple backend like Firebase or something that's just dynamic, that's not strongly typed. And then we look at it, we're like, oh wait, that doesn't make any sense. We switch it up until we think that it's doing what we want to do, the simple things, and then we bring in the gene, the real backend, to fill in our first use cases and let it get more complex in version 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly. Because I'm not sure how easy it would be to prototype with smart contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, for Shorty, it's easy, but it's probably unnecessary, right?
Okay.
I mean, maybe if we do it on testnet anyway, so we don't have to throw crazy ether all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
that will be the
Normally I
best
do it
thing
with,
for sure.
Normally I do it with TestRVC and
Yeah.
a lot of times that are pretty fast. And then the second thing is that if you use Truffle, you can have an automated migration, and your user interface will automatically pick that up. So you can change the contracts, and it will be updated.
Well,
Yeah, test RVC would be pretty nice actually. We might want to go that route, but we'll see.
Okay. So this is all that has been prepared. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think I don't know when's the lunch coming.
Whenever
coming.
it should be
So,
here any second.
Whenever.
the
So
main things we need
I
to
want to,
define are
like-
the roles
yes,
and then the
yes. Well, basically how it will work, right?
yeah.
So the roles, the actions that the people can take, and from there we move. Because only then you can start building UI.
Yeah.
Well, to Audrey's point, like, it sounds like there's a lot of capabilities that we could do, you know, like every campaign has this campaign, you know, so, you know, yeah, we're trying to find roles, but really like the first simple use cases, what are all the UIs we need to support? Just, like you started with those 2 cases, you know?
Exactly.
Just adding like the third, or just a couple scenarios.
Exactly.
And if we have the UI for that, will be, or I think
Oh
it's
man,
second.
I was asking for that for ages. Examples of like
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
a
that's
real
It's a good point. It's a good point.
milestones, real things, because that's something we can also showcase.
Yeah.
I still think that we might have an additional layer that we don't need when we talk about costs, campaigns, projects. Because I still, in the way that I see it, it could be costs and projects, or
Yeah.
you know, or just campaigns and projects. Only 2 so that you can make a distinct difference of what would be, one or the other. Because I'm still confused between, when do I call it a campaign or when do I call it a project?
Right.
Because they both have milestones.
That's exactly why I decided not to use campaign or goals. I
Yeah.
just use delegate.
Yeah,
You don't have the money. You're just managing the money.
Yeah.
Or project. You
Yeah.
have the money to do that.
okay.
Okay. That's why I decided that.
That's why, so
No,
we
not
need to work
because
on that
no,
as well.
it's just
Yeah.
the decision. So, but I think that we really need to find two words that
Yeah.
all of us agree. for me.
Exactly.
I use delegate and project, but maybe it should be called
Whatever.
food
Okay.
food
Yeah.
manager, or
The-
decision maker, or whatever.
Or social agent.
Or whatever, or agent, or whatever. And project is like executor, or committed project, or I don't know, another word for something that, okay, you have the money here, and you can do whatever you want with this project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main reason for that was, if you imagine here the school of Zimbabwe or Giveth, right? We're Giveth, who is making several projects, and you want to let people know that it's still you. You can't be at this level. You can't just create a new one and a new
Yeah.
one like anonymously or almost. You should be some organization which has these projects underneath.
It's more unique here.
It's more like
and then
unique.
multiplied here.
Yes, but even here you potentially want to already have some milestones, because Giveth on its own has some milestones, not linked to any of the projects. So I think that was the reason for the design like that.
Yeah, and the level above, which is like, children in general.
Yeah.
Children in general is more about finding campaigns. Like it's about it's the only I'm definitely down to get rid of a level, right? But in application at the global level, I worry that the only reason I want that separation is because some organizations, some causes may not be built to have specific campaigns for them. Maybe they can, right? But I feel like the better organizational structure is to have a global cause, end world hunger. And they're not actually trying to directly end world hunger by going out in the streets and feeding homeless people, right? Their job is to find the people, just like UNICEF doesn't actually go out and do charity, right? They actually find other people to go do charity. So it's more about modeling the current system with the smart contracts and decentralizing it, and allowing for that same culture where a person from UNICEF who's already like used to like actually looking at projects and campaigns and saying this is good, this isn't, and then donating to them, they can keep their same role. But and this is the debate, like how do we want to build the culture, and then how do we want to explain it simply to people, because taking away a layer makes that a lot
But
easier.
So from a UX perspective, can you zoom out just a little bit on the hierarchy?
Can you touch
So the
this?
thing is that what
Yeah, I mean it's
I heard from Jordy is that it's this recursive pattern. You can add as many projects in the chain as possible, right? And so talking about it in levels when actually it's a chain is, I think, a little bit confusing, right? Because the thing is that this is a project, it has this project, what if that has projects, right? And that has projects all the way down. So the UI's got to be kind of like, it's got to be like Facebook, it's got to be recursive. I'm a friend that has friends, my friends have friends and have friends and have friends. If that makes
But you
sense.
also want to have hierarchy, because you clearly want to be able, I'm interested in education, and I'm interested in projects in education.
Yeah, exactly. It's a recursive,
That's the
just like the chain.
Yeah.
So the UI can't. Yeah, I think you get it.
Yeah. And you need to have the connections already.
But I mean,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
what I wanted to say is that it can start
Between
Oh.
those.
simpler, like
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
2 levels,
Yeah.
and then you can, but I think that we can do great things with tags, right?
yeah.
So let's say that we have lots of campaigns that have the same tag.
Yeah.
So with so many tags, that can be a cost.
Yeah,
So it's starting from the bottom up as opposed to the top
Yeah.
down.
absolutely.
So we only have 2 levels, And then if there's enough mass at the second level, then a third level will develop by itself, organically.
Yeah.
So there will be, the tags are multiple animals, so there has to be, that cause of helping animals because it has already evolved from the ground up.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely like the grassroots ground up approach. There is the other benefit though of separating the task, or maybe just keeping it as tags instead of causes, just tagging it for this thing, and that's kind of like a cause, but we call it a tag, is that the user isn't expecting that in 3 days the money could just be locked up, right? So they'll get a first email that's like, hey, we're thinking about using your money for this kind of thing. And then another email, oh yeah, it's going to be used for this kind of thing. But they know, okay, but you're not actually going to start spending it, right? And then it's like, oh no, this got to a campaign. Oh, well, these guys spend money, Like, what's going on here? I'm more interested in that. I'm going to actually talk to these guys. I'm going to hit that link, So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And it is, maybe we start out where, we don't have a global charity yet. We just have slave-free trade.
How about
I like that actually, because I agree with if they were tagging it, then eventually these causes should sort of emerge, and then that could be like a version 2 feature where it's like, oh, we have this infrastructure now that we could just go to a cause. That we're so abstract and big now, we just go to a cause. But if we start with just slave-free trade or one thing, build the UIs and functionize specifically for that, knowing we have all those capabilities at the bottom to do all these
Absolutely not. No.
And the tags could inform that, inform those causes if we're.
And I think and that's how organically we're built. Right?
that's how we were talking about it to be.
Yeah.
And I think actually there's no clash because you can just take all these as tags. They don't exist. But whenever it says something, oh, I tag this as education, it gets created. And it's a DCO that gets created. And there's a clear relation as well.
Food's delayed. I thought it meant
I will do the ordering next time.
It's all in German, so I thought they said it over here.
What did you say that it's not the
That it's delayed.
I don't know what I have no two visions, but okay, it's just one of two of a lot. So from one part, I see something like quick starter from one part, and from one part, I'm seeing like these really complex systems about management of projects that everything is inside, and at the end, it's a very complex systems that some large organizations are using. So I'm not using simple things. So using a real complex things with a lot of stuff. So I see these two things. I see that the mechanism, the core mechanism, it will be useful for both of them. But that's true that there's a different way to focus the things. So I feel more comfortable like a quick starter, for charity, for donations, that only have 1 or 2 levels, and that's all.
Yeah,
I think. But and I don't know if this should affect the way we are writing or looking at the current smart contracts. So we should focus on that they're able to do a lot of things, or we should focus to do very well only this thing.
Well, maybe that's the 2 tracks. We have the smart contract track.
Yeah, I think
we
there
have
are
the
two
UI
different
track.
worlds. Seriously, I think there are 2 separate worlds, and I don't know if we split.
But I think that what it's important is to create a scope, right, around those worlds, because otherwise we can just go in really big. So just scope it out and say, okay, for the UI, this is what we're going to have at first stage, and so it's for the smart contracts, and then start building on that. I think we can start very simple, the important thing is to be out there and to test it, right? Because we're gonna learn so much from it.
Yeah, so
But from the user interface, for me, it's like it's called user stories. Okay, it's like
Yeah.
what should be able to do each one, and this is okay. Then you need to do it the right way. Okay, but what can you see it, and what are you be able to do? Of course, a donor, it's a good way to donate, but also it's a good way to see what he donated and what campaigns maybe they are pre-committed or they're going to be committed.
Right.
They're not and they should be able to change delegate and maybe cancel delegation. And that's the user interface. For me, that's the user interface for the donor. Okay. Then if you go to delegate, okay, delegate is kind of signing. So I would like to see, okay, how much money do I have, where it comes from, and just a way to transfer to delegate that to different projects or to other delegates. Okay, that's more or less the idea. And the project is like the project management. It's like, okay, I have the project, and then I need to manage the project. So I maybe create some projects, create some delegates, or just create entries or milestones or whatever. Okay, that's like the other part of the UI. And if we create these entry points and we create these user stories for each of the roles of the actors we were talking before, I think that we can fit all the examples that we did it before. Of course, that when you're in the project, you can create some projects and you can start complicating that. But from this basic structure of donating, delegating, putting a project and going to a project to a milestone and milestone getting the money back. So if you see the full line, this is the first line and the main line. Okay. We get everything, and then we add here. Okay, the reviewer and cancel. Okay, we go back, or the project, go to the project, and the reference part. Okay, we go that way, or we are adding that. But this is from the specification point of view. Other thing is how we do it, or what's the implementation point of view. And that for me, that's the functional point of view. Is okay. This is the user stories that we need to cover, and the first stage, and we should write that. Okay. And from that, I would like, at least as a user interface, what I'm used to is I would like is just to see like, a boxes diagram, but the screen, what you will see on the screen. We'll see a menu, we'll see here, we'll have the campaigns. I don't care about the visual, it's pretty or not, but the boxes of, it's going to be here, it's going to be a list on here, you have a button here, you'll be able to do that, and you see the structure. Wireframe, wireframe, exactly. So that's a wireframe of the different pages that we will be on. And at the end, it should not be more than 5 or 6 pages in the first version. Maybe 10. Okay, if you add campaign or add project, all of them, but maybe there are 10 pages. It should not be much more than that.
So not for the first release, but maybe there's some kind of planning for the whole year, and maybe for the next year. It would be great only to organize things. But I think it's integration with other tools. It will be so a must.
Yeah.
Because we cannot start putting a lot of things because people need that.
No.
But we need to integrate with other tools because it is the core.
That's for sure.
It's the core of the money of the transparency.
I
But then we cannot do a lot of things more.
I think after lunch will be the scope discussion.
Okay.
Scope and integrations.